Welcome to Parshat Naso. We are in the second parsha of Sefer Bamidbar, and we skipped a week. Last week was Shavuot, so on Shabbat we did not have a reading for the parsha. It would have been Naso, but instead we had readings for Shavuot. So today we continue on with Parshat Naso, and we're going to start right here, which is very much where we left off. We are in the ending part of the census of the Levi'im. You might remember that in Parshat Bamidbar, there was a census to count up the young men, or the men that are eligible to be soldiers were counted, and then in addition, the Levi'im were counted. Well, it didn't get finished in that parsha. So in this parsha, we have the continuation of the counting of the Levi'im. And we're told that there are three families that are part of the family of Levi, that are part of the tribe of Levi, and they each have a different job involved with moving the Mishkan. So we find out that one family is going to be in charge of moving all of the clay kodesh, the holy vessels that were there, the menorah, the mizbeach for the incense, the shulchan for the lechem panim, the showbread. We've got the aron. It's all being messed, and the big mizbeach, the big altar also, is all going to be carried by one family. Another family is going to be carrying the things that are like fabrics and animal skins and stuff. They're in charge of all of the curtains and fabrics and everything that are part of the Mishkan. And then another family is in charge of moving the boards and the bars and the pillars and all like the heavy structure of the Mishkan. So that's going to be divided up by families so everybody knows what their job is and what they need to do. And we're told that the count of the Levi'im in the end, now this is just from the tribe of Levi, and it's just the men who are old enough to handle this work. I think it says between 30 years of age and 50 years of age. It comes to 8,580 people. So that's not even the whole tribe. That's just the men between that age. It's a lot of people. And it's a lot of work. So we've finished up now with the census, and we move on to another topic. I don't know if you've learned it before, about a group of people that wanted, in the time in the Bible, they weren't Kohanim, they weren't Levi'im, but they wanted to have a closer relationship with God. So they had an option to do that. They could take an oath, make a promise, that they were going to be a Nazir. Now, a Nazir didn't become a Kohen, didn't become a Levi, although some of the restrictions on a person to be a Nazir are similar. So a person that wants to spend a certain amount of time getting closer to God could decide, I'm going to be a Nazir, and here's what they had to do. They did not drink wine, or use any grape products. They had no haircuts, so their hair would grow long, and they were to have no contact with the dead. And for a prescribed amount of time, they would take on this oath, this promise, that this was going to be a time that they were going to get closer to God. And then, when they were done, they had to bring a sacrifice, and then they would shave off their hair, and then they would become just your regular old Plony Almoni again. So it's important to know, because you're going to meet a Nazir next year when you study Shoftim, I believe. You'll meet a Nazir in those classes. All right, so we move on. And God tells Moshe, Daber el Aharon ve'el banav, speak to Aaron and his sons, lemor, and say, Ko tivarchu et bnei Yisrael. This is how you will bless bnei Yisrael. Now we still, in many synagogues, have a tradition of the Kohanim on holidays getting up and blessing the people. This is when God gives the instructions how to do that. And he says, Amor lechem, say to them. So this is what Moshe is going to tell the Kohanim to say. And look at this. Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Hashem panav elecha v'yikunecha. You've heard this before. Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. So we have heard this bracha before. We've heard it earlier in the Torah because some of the Mefarshim think that when the Mishkan was completed, that Moshe said this bracha to the entire people to bless them. But we've also heard it in our lives. If you are blessed on Friday night, on Shabbat, by your parents, this is part of the bracha they say to you. The rabbis often say this in synagogue. And on holidays, some congregations, more usually Orthodox congregations still have this, although some conservative synagogues do, have the Kohanim get up and make this bracha. Now look at the hands there. This is how they would hold their hands in front of the people. And if you go to synagogue when they do this, you won't see it because the tradition is not to look. So everybody looks away. Some people turn their bodies around. Some people pull their talit over their head. Some people look down at the floor and don't look up. But there's a tradition not to look at them while they're doing it. So I'm taking everybody's word for it that this is how their hands are. They hold them out. I've seen pictures. I think they have their talis over their head and over their hands. And they say this bracha for the whole congregation. That starts, though, way back, before they leave Mount Sinai, way back when God gives these directions to Moshe. So same bracha, same exact words. Very cool if you ask me. So let's look at what that bracha says, because it's so familiar to us, but I'm not sure we always understand what it says. So let's look here. This is a translation. Yevarechecha Hashem, may God bless you, v'yishmerecha, and keep you or guard you. So that's not terribly difficult Hebrew. We see the shoresh from Baruch or bracha, and we see shomer in there, right? So may God bless you and keep you. But what does that mean for God to bless you and keep you? Not entirely clear. Ya'er Hashem panav elecha. Now this one's interesting. Look at Ya'er. It's got the light in there. It's got like something shining. Will God cause his face? Now we know God doesn't have a face, or we believe God doesn't have a face. May his face shine toward you, vayichuneka, and favor you. Favor is an odd word. Some people translate this as show you grace. I think it kind of means he's going to like you. But even in English, it's really hard to translate. The last one, Vayisa Hashem panav elecha, may God lift up his face towards you. What does that mean? V'yasem lecha shalom, and give you peace. Well, that part's not so difficult to understand. But all in all, I think it's kind of hard to understand this bracha, especially something that's so central to our lives, and a bracha that's been with us for thousands of years. So, as you can imagine, when we have something like this, there are many different ways people understand it. But since we talk about Rashi a lot, and Rashi's our go-to person when we have a question, I thought that we would actually ask Rashi. Here, I had a little song come into my head. You want to hear my song? How did I do it? When you've got a question in the parsha, who you gonna call? Call Rashi. So okay, silly, crazy, whatever. I'm willing to embarrass myself to teach you something. So Rashi is the person that we look to when we have a question. So let's see how Rashi understands these. And if it in any way matches up with what you thought they mean. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you disagree with Rashi. I'm just saying you got a different perspective. So let's see what Rashi says. Okay. Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Rashi says this means, may he give you possessions and guard those possessions from being stolen. I got to tell you, that didn't even occur to me. But that's how Rashi understands it, that God blessing you means he's giving you stuff and he's making sure you get to keep your stuff because no one's going to steal it. May God cause his face to shine upon you and favor you. I really had trouble even understanding Rashi's words, but it talks about him bringing a pleasant face to you. So I'm kind of understanding this to be like God kind of smiles at you and he likes you. May God lift his face towards you and give you peace. And here Rashi says, may he not get mad at you. That's what this blessing is all about. I'm guessing that some of you might have gone in a different direction. Rashi's a great scholar, and I respect his understanding of this. I understand his understanding of this for the most part. I'm not sure though. I still have a question. And I know that there are other Mefarshim that understand it differently. So I leave it open for myself. So that at another time when I'm studying in another day, if I find something that speaks to me more closely, that's good too. All right. So let's move on from this bracha to the end of what's going on in the Parsha. At this point, as you know, we've had the whole Mishkan is built. Everything's been dedicated. The priests have been inaugurated. A census has been taken. The tribes each give a gift to the Levi'im. Now, the Levi'im have just been given their jobs. So the tribes all pitch in together equally and give them what they're going to need for the moving of the Mishkan. So they're given covered wagons, which I assume, look at here. They look kind of like the covered wagons from the Old West. I don't know how different a covered wagon could look. It's going to have wheels, it's going to carry long stuff, and it's going to be covered. So, I usually look at that and I think the Wild, Wild West. And you know what? It's the Wild, Wild East. And then they also gave 12 oxen. Oxen are going to pull the carts. So you'll notice it's 6 wagons, 12 carts, because every cart is pulled by 2 oxen. All right. And then there are more gifts. It's like a birthday. So here we have each tribe, one at a time, once a day. The first tribe comes and gives a gift. Now this is a spoiler alert, guys. Every tribe gives the exact same gift. 2 silver bowls of different sizes, filled with very choice flour and very pure olive oil, a golden spoon with incense to burn, and a number of animals that will be in the sacrifice. These are all things that are going to be needed in the running of the Mishkan. And the tribes each give the exact same gift, 1 tribe a day. There are 12 tribes. Guess how long it takes. All right, so we get those gifts going. And we are coming really to the end of the Parsha here. The last thing seems a little out of place to me. I'm curious about it. After all of the gift giving and all of the brachot and everything, we are told that God tells Moshe that when he goes into the tent of meeting, which is the tent, not the inner Kodesh Kodeshim, but when he goes into the tent, that God's voice is going to come from the more inside part at the Kodesh Kodeshim. It's going to come out right between these 2 kruvim, these 2 figures that are kind of bird-like, kind of human-like. that God's voice is going to come down from the heaven and come through that there, and that's how God's voice will come to speak to Moshe. Consider it perhaps an early speaker system that was, created by God and powered by miracles. So that is the end of Parshat Naso. I hope you enjoyed it. I like this parsha. It's the longest parsha, but if you get it for your bar mitzvah portion, you shouldn't worry, because a lot of it repeats over and over again, because it tells you each tribe, when it comes and brings the identical gift, it tells you the same thing over and over again. Oh, I left out my favorite part. When the tribes come, they're led by their leader, which is called a Nasi, and the first tribe to come is Yehudah, and the leader is my hero, Nachshon ben Aminadav. Yeah, that guy that walked into the sea in the Midrash. He is the leader of the tribe of Yehudah. I love it. All right, I hope you enjoyed the Parsha as much as I did. We will come back to it again later this week, but this was a good start. Have a great day, guys.